Hello, my name is Sanna Eveby and I'm a traffic engineer and traffic planner at AFRY. And I have been working with developing a road safety index together with the FIA to help companies and organizations reduce traffic accidents. I hope you enjoy our conversation, so tune in and listen.
Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica Podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica Podcast partner, AFRY. AFRY is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. I have the pleasure to welcome you, Sanna, to Urbanistica Podcast. Hey, and welcome.
Hello and thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm really good. It's an exciting time right now.
Yes. How was your summer?
It was really good. Yeah, it was relaxing.
You went abroad or you were here in Sweden?
Yeah, we bought a summer house right before the pandemic, so we spent the time in the summer house.
That's nice. Where is it?
In Småland, in like the forest in the southern part of Sweden.
Cool.
Yeah, so we have like cows and trees, pine trees.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like completely out of the city.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So we start with you first, and you're a storyteller. How would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your passion?
Well, I'm a person that loves to dive into different kinds of questions. I love to be a consultant because that's when you get to really be able to talk about different kind of areas and to develop in different kind of ways all the time. And I've been here at this company at AFRY for 10 years. And so I really love the comfort of being in a place where you know your surroundings and the people and still be able to develop different areas of yourself.
Amazing. And tell us about your background, like in where you grew up, what did you study or work?
I grew up in a small town in Småland called Västervik by the coast, and it's a really small town. I had a hard time fitting in there, and I always wanted to see other places and travel. So when I left gymnasium, I moved right away to Stockholm to start studying here.
What did you study?
At KTH.
Yeah. And was it like traffic engineering or what was it?
Yeah. I knew from an early age that I wanted to work with traffic safety.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, was it a specific moment that you be like, okay, traffic safety is a super important thing and I should work with it, or no? Or how was it? Like, how did you develop this interest?
When I was 10, my best friend was going to visit us, and they lived in another city, and they were in a traffic accident, and both her parents were killed.
Oh,
and I
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to engage with her after that.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old. My whole life revolved around my family and my friends, and she moved to live with an aunt, so she lost her family and her friends. And I think this is also a way for me to like make up for that and to forgive myself for not being there when I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's this is your way of saving the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
exactly.
Yeah, and
to make sure it happens to as few as possible in the future.
Exactly. Do you think we can make it zero? Or no, it's gonna always be some like numbers.
Freak accidents will always be there, but we should always aim for it to be zero.
Yeah. And our story actually is about road safety index.
Yeah.
And I think you're like, this is your passion and you're super passionate about it. So tell us about the background of this index and AFRY's work.
Well, before Vision Zero, it was up to every driver to be the one making sure that there wasn't an accident. But then Vision Zero was implemented here in Sweden, and it's been in many places in the world now. And that changes the focus from the individual driver to the system. It's not that the system take over the responsibility, but they share the responsibility.
So what is Vision Zero?
Yeah, Vision Zero is like a vision that there shouldn't be anybody killed or seriously harmed in the traffic or in traffic accidents, and that one simple mistake shouldn't kill you. So that's the basis of Vision Zero. So Vision Zero was a big shift in the focus on how you looked at traffic and traffic safety, and now it's time for that to shift again. In 2020, in February, it was a big conference in Stockholm, the third global ministerial conference on traffic safety, and there the focus is to look at companies and the value chains, and to make the economic market also take responsibilities for the traffic. So now it's 3 parts that should share it.
Yeah. But like Vision Zero was not like focusing on companies and organizations?
No, it was on the infrastructure system.
Okay.
That the ones that provide the system, like the road administrations and such, should be...
They're responsible.
Yeah. They should make it safe, or as safe as they can.
Okay, and with the road safety index, now we are talking that companies should be responsible.
Yeah, and take responsibility in how they talk about traffic safety, what kind of vehicles they buy, what kind of how the drivers are educated and such.
And is it only like the company by itself, or no, like the entire what do you call it, value chain? Yeah.
Yes. Of course, it's important that the company as an organization take responsibility, and it has to come from the top management of the company to give credibility and to make it possible for people within the organization to work with it. And when we say the entire value chain, we are looking at all activities within the company that is significant and relevant to traffic. So it's not only the company itself, but also the things that we buy or our sub-consultants.
So what is it about? If you simplify it for me, like okay, now I have a road safety index. What is it about? Like, what should I do as an organization?
You should look at your commitment. What is your policy about traffic safety? How do you prioritize traffic safety over other things in your company? Do you put it as a part of your procurements? When you buy things, is traffic safety a part of that it should be transported in a safe way? Do you have targets regarding traffic safety? Do you tell your employees that they should follow laws and regulations, or do you put that up to the police? So what kind of responsibility do you take into that? Do you have regulations regarding speeds? What kind of vehicles you use? Are they safe? And also, do you follow up on what's happening? Do you know how many of your employees that are in accidents every year, or how many of your sub-consultants are contracted, and how many people do you actually hit out when you're out on the roads?
And is it only like Sanna related to vehicles and cars, or like could it be also like motorbikes or electrical bikes?
Yeah, motorbikes, electric bikes, and also pedestrians. Especially when we talk about the third parties, the people that you hit. Pedestrians are a big part of that.
So is the mission that the organization implement the road safety index, and also like it's a kind of mission zero, but for organization?
Yeah, exactly.
So can you tell us like about the process? How did AFRY develop this, and who was in the team?
Yeah, so it all started on this third global ministerial conference in Stockholm, where our experts at AFRY met with FEA, which is an umbrella organization for motor clubs around the world. And we're talking about how we could implement this. How can we make this a reality? How can we help companies to actually step up and take this kind of responsibility? So after that, we started to collaborate with them and made a feasibility study to look at this index. Yeah, so we looked at what factors should be included and how should such an index be built up. And we had reference groups with leading experts from around the world, and they were all very positive. So we got the green light to keep developing it, and we have had an amazing team actually. with the sponsor of Björn Östlund, who is the former COO of infrastructure at AFRY. And he's an amazing person to lead the discussions and to talk to these experts that we are working with. And then we have two of the world's most brilliant minds in traffic safety. Claes Tingvall, who is the father of Vision Zero, and Anders Lee, who is behind the road safety management standard ISO 39001, sorry. And he's also the one behind the seatbelt reminder, the one that makes your car go beeping when you don't put your seatbelt on.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, those are our experts that are working with this. And then we also have experts in sustainability, such as Sara Lindstrand, who is the director of sustainability at AFRY, and Johan Frida, senior advisor on corporate sustainability. And we also have an expert in supply chain management, Olle Arfors from our industry department, who knows a lot about how companies work and their value chains. And then we have Golnaz Miredare, she's pure magic when it comes to making this wall of text that our experts bring us and make them understandable for me and for everybody else. So it's been really, really great working with them.
Nice.
And then we have also conducted 6 pilot studies, and we have had colleagues working with each and every one of these companies that we've been conducting these studies with.
Can you tell us about one of these studies? Like, what did you do and how was it?
In the studies, we tried to implement these.
It's like a pilot?
Yeah, it's like a pilot.
Yeah.
So we implemented the index, looked at the company's their different documents and how they work with traffic safety in different parts to see how it would actually work to implement for real in a company. And we worked with quite large companies like Autoliv and IKEA Supply Chain and Total Energies. In here we also work with the Swedish Road Administration Authority, Trafikverket, and then 2 local clubs from FEA.
If we talk more like a practicality, what does it mean? Like, if let's say I'm an organization and I want to implement this index in my organization, so what should I do? What are the different steps? Can I do it by my own, or should I let's say call you as a expert of this index? Because usually this is not super common. It's not something like sustainability or inclusion and diversity. This is something completely new for organizations.
Yeah.
So
exactly how it should be implemented, if it should be like a self-reporting system or an audit, that's still to be decided by the FIA. They are looking at it now in September, but it's leaning towards that it should be a self-reporting system.
So what is the process?
And it's simple enough for you to be able to
okay, cool.
to do it yourself. We have this guidance for use that we are constantly bringing in new examples in. But the first you need to do is look at your value chain, or your supply chain, but also if you have these. If you're a car manufacturer, the car that you build, the materials you get, that's in your supply chain.
The components.
Yeah, but when you have built the car, it still has a value for you. So the first years of usage should also be included in your value chain, and you should take responsibility for that as well. So first you need to look at your value chain and see what activities are relevant and significant for road traffic for you. So that's your scope. That's the thing you need to work on. And then you need to check if you have a policy, how do you communicate in your company about traffic safety? What demands do you put on your employees or in your procurements? And do you know your footprint? Do you know how many get injured or seriously hurt?
Can you give us example? What can we put in the policy? What can we do?
You should have a goal. Where do you want to go with this?
In this organization, we want to have 0 road accidents.
Yeah,
or
but you should have
something
both long-term and short-term goals, and you should also prioritize them in regards to other goals. Is economical benefit more important than keeping road crashes down, for example? And then you are into your targets, for the next 3 years we need to halve our accidents, cut them by half. And then you need to look at these safety performance factors. We have identified 4 that we see is common for every company, but some companies can have different or more safety performance factors. And it's like speed. They should keep speed limits. That's important.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not like already regulated by like on the road, you know?
Yeah, and in especially in Northern Europe, we rely a lot as a companies on the police. Like it's the police that checks that you follow the speed limit.
Okay, yeah.
But in other parts of the world, it's not that the police isn't looking at
The speed.
the speed in the same way. And there, actually, companies are taking a bigger role in this, and they need to.
Like a self-regulation,
Yeah.
speed regulation. Okay,
Yeah.
now I understand it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's also important that it comes from the company that you should keep the speed limits. Otherwise, other factors can easily be pushing you to drive too fast, that you want to have your break early or you need to be on time for your delivery. And that's why you need to be clear on what's the most prioritized there.
And like, how do we do that? Let's say, how do we regulate the speed? Like, is it a policy we say, let's say I tell my employees that, okay, the speed limit is 70 and this is part of our new like road safety index, but how can I track them?
There are different tools to track
Okay.
them and to do it on a more macro level, not on an individual level.
Okay.
There are both built in the cars and apps you can use for
Yeah.
that. But the first thing is for them to know that this is how we work at our company. And then to have a good vehicle policy. We have put the highest demand is to only buy cars that has the highest Euro NCAP certification.
What is it?
It's a certification for cars to show how safe they are in traffic.
Yeah.
We test them on different factors like the brakes and the like airbags.
Yeah, like the one we see on YouTube, like when they
the crash test dummies.
Accident. Yeah.
Okay. So we have this one in Europe and there's one in Australia that I know of. So that's a few things to look at. And then to start making plans. How should you reach your goal? What do you need to do to reach your goal?
Like an action plan.
Yeah. And then monitoring. How will you monitor? And that's like the app and such. How can we monitoring that we go in the right direction?
But does it mean like every company needs to create an app to?
There are some apps out in the market already. Yeah,
okay.
And they are more and more being developed.
So these are the different steps in the process.
Yeah, and then you're building a safety culture in
exactly like by time you're building. So can you mention them like one after one as kind of like summarizing?
Yeah, you get a grip on your value chain, then you make a commitment, you check your footprint, you make plans, you see how to monitor them, and you create a safety culture.
Sanna, is this like an open source index? So each organization could implement it or use it?
Yeah, every organization should be able to implement it. The manual isn't on the market yet, but it will be on the market in early next year. And then everybody should be able to use it.
Yeah. Who's responsible for implementing this?
It depends. The decision should always come from the top management. That's important. That's an important thing. But different companies are built differently. In some companies, it might be the sustainability department, because this is a question that's deeply linked with the social sustainability. But it can also be the human resource department. So it depends a little on the company.
I mean, but why? How to say? Why should we do that? I mean, companies now is dealing with sustainability policies, with inclusion diversity policies, with communication policies, and so many others. And now, like, you're introducing a new type of policy, which is completely new. So what's in it for organization? Why should they do that?
Well, first of all, it's good for your employees. They get a better work environment, especially if you have employees that's out in traffic. You create a better environment for them. And if you reduce traffic accidents, you also reduce the damage that's on your goods. If you transport goods. And also it's like a goodwill. People know that you are working towards, again, the 2030. You need to do it in a serious ways. And again, the 2030, it's you can do everything. It's not like the goals are competing with each other. They should complement each other.
So this is like also directly linked to the Sustainable Development Goals?
Yeah, definitely. It's especially goal number 3. That's good health and well-being. And then goal 11 and 12 as well, with sustainable cities and communities and responsible consumption and production. Especially number 12, what we're looking at now with the consumption and production.
Yeah. And what is the specific target group? Like, is it only for companies working with cars or producing cars, or?
Well, it's for all companies, actually. All organizations should be able to use it. And now we are starting to do some new collaboration with smaller companies, because the ones that we have been looking at are quite big. But it should be able to work even for the smaller ones, and that's what we are looking at right now.
Super interesting. So we have many listeners from all around the world, and different organizations, also the scale, the size of organization, the number of employees. To start with this, what is your advice? What is the first step that we should take in order to implement this culture?
The first thing I think we need to do is realize that we work on a global market. When we buy something, even if you deliver it to your door, if it's something for the office, it's produced in a country far away, often like China or somewhere, and then it's transported on roads. So it's, even if we in Europe and especially in Sweden is really good at traffic safety, the things that we buy here isn't made here. They are transported somewhere else, and we are actually exporting the problems with traffic safety when we are putting the transports over there and making it someone else's responsibility. So it's to take responsibility for our actions.
Yeah. What if my partners or value chain, you name it, like
Yeah.
they didn't want to implement this, because they should also implement the same index, right?
Yeah, or they should at least, when my partners or sub-consultants work for me, they should follow this.
Okay. It's like a criteria you put in the contract between you and them.
Yeah, and they should also report. It's important to make them report like accidents. How many accidents are you involved in when you are transporting things for us?
Do you think this will make employees feel more that they are controlled by the organization, or no? What is your reflection about this?
That's a difficult question. Because you should not. It's not about a single employee. It's about all of them and how they act as a whole. So you should not look at every single employee and say you are not good and you are not good and you did wrong. But it's like building a culture, prioritizes safety. So if you manage to do that, then I don't think they will feel like they are singled out.
So they will not feel, it's too much now, like my company even asking me to limit my speed and so on.
Yeah, no, I hope not. Not if the company can explain and put these guidelines, connect them to relative research.
What is the key when you implement, as an organization, when you implement this index? What is the key to make it so successful and to build it as a culture? What do you think is the key? So your employee will not feel that they're super controlled now, even with the vehicles, with how they should behave on the road and everything.
I think it's with everything that you put, everything you put in. It's to build acceptance, to make people understand why it's important and how they can contribute. They feel like it's just a new demand on them, then that's not the right way to go. But if you explain why it's important and how they contribute, I think that's the key.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge when it comes to the implementation?
It's the fact that we don't have all the data, especially when it comes to serious injured persons. It's hard for companies to get a hold on that. They know if they're in an accident, and if they have an employee in an accident, they get the accident reports to human resource. But the other people that was involved in the accident, the third party, right now there are limited ways of getting a hold of that information.
So is the data
Yeah, that's one of these, the big
challenges?
Yes.
What are the others?
I think for a lot of companies it will be the value chain, to getting a hold of the value chain and to think in that way, and to start looking at their whole the whole process that they have. I think most companies, or a lot of them at least, work in this way. They already have rules and regulations. They talk about traffic safety, and it is an important topic in lots of companies.
But they don't have an action plan.
No.
Or like implementing this index.
Yeah.
But it's interesting also, like you mentioned that the first step was the value chain and then your own commitment. Shouldn't it be like the opposite, that you start first with yourself and then you talk about the others?
But if you don't know what you're committing to, if when you know your value chain, you know what you're committing to, you know the scope.
Yeah, you know, like your system or like your road.
Yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, it's important for me and for those people that I can see right now. But when you look at your entire value chain, it gets a little bigger.
Okay, so when you do the mapping and you map your value chain, then you understand like the scale of your business. Interesting. So now we are in the last section of this episode, and I'm happy that you shared this with us, and I'm looking forward like the implementation, especially here at AFRY. So you as a traffic engineer, what should traffic planners and engineers stop doing when they plan cities and streets?
I think that we should stop looking at the past, trying to see our future. It's most of guidelines and analyst tools that we have. They look in the past, and then we are trying to see what will happen in the future. And that's no way to see the future, I think.
So, like, what do you mean? Like, should they stop looking?
We need to embrace and to make space for new ways to look at or to make room for in the future. Yeah, when we do like traffic analysis, then we have this prognosis, and these prognoses are looking at what has happened in the past and how much will fuel costs rise, and then the traffic will increase. But do we really want it to increase? Do we really want to build new roads because our system says that we need to, because there will be more cars? To start working more goal-oriented. But also with policies, like if we look at parking, and there are these numbers that if you build these many apartments, you should have this much parking space.
So there's an index also.
Yeah, and then the ones building the apartment doesn't want that much parking, but it's really hard for them to build houses without any parking spaces. Even if they try to think in new ways, there isn't really room for that.
And what should traffic planners and engineers start doing?
I think we need to leave space in the build city and in our guidelines and also in timetables for our project to be creative and to actually see the possibilities of thinking in new ways and start making room for the future now.
So in the end, 2 questions. The first one is about you giving us, the listeners, 3 takeaway messages.
Okay, the first is that we act on a global market. What we buy gets delivered to our doors, but it has traveled a long way. And then I also want to talk about public procurement. It's a big part of the global economy. and we need to use our collective funds to start put higher demands on sustainability questions. In Sweden, for example, public procurement is around 20% of our GNP. So it's quite a big chunk of money that we can use to make better decisions for sustainability. And then the third one, yeah. And that's it. With the right support, everything is possible. So if you can, try to be that support for others.
Yes. And the last question is going to be you asking it to us. What is your question to me and to the listener?
Yeah. If you could do anything today that the tomorrow you would thank you for, what would that be?
Okay, interesting question. Thank you so much, Sanna. It's really interesting to hear more about the road safety index. I think it's like a really great idea.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here.